All right, welcome back to Developing Hurricanes, where Matt and I only talked about forwards last week, and now we're going to talk about the rest because
The
I did not
wings.
get to it. Hey, man, sometimes we forget to talk about certain things, and it just happens. But also, we ran out of time, so that's the main reason. So today we'll get through defensemen, we'll get through some goalies, and then we're going to do to spice it up and have a little bit of fun. We're going to do a full 7 round mock draft for just the Hurricanes because if we did a 7 round mock, we'd be awful and this would take 3 hours. So, Matt, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I am excited. We are really close to the draft. The Stanley Cup final obviously is over, and we've started to see a few moves from teams like
Eric Hall to the Nashville Predators.
Eric Hall to
Clap
the
it up.
Predators, which is something. It's something. Um, but I can tell that this is just like the beginning. I can tell that this is going to be a very fun off season.
Yeah, it's definitely going to evolve over the next few things, especially when somebody like Trent Frederick is getting $32 million over 8 years, which is a little ridiculous, but you know, we don't talk about those guys. We only talk about prospects, more specifically Canes prospects. But since there are no Canes prospects playing hockey and most news has already been covered or talked about, even though I just remembered we probably should at least mention something in a second here, and so for now, we're gonna talk about guys that could become Canes prospects and guys that Canes fans would have the pleasure of watching in junior or senior leagues across the globe. But before we do that, I just want to mention because it didn't come out until. Did we talk about Yaravoy last week, or was that
We
no?
may have mentioned that he hadn't signed, but I mean,
Yeah.
there's
So
at least been the rumor that we can talk about.
yeah, report came out from Championnet, which is a publication out in Russia, that Stanislav Yaravoy is expected to sign his entry level contract with the Carolina Hurricanes, and to me at least, it doesn't surprise me. There is a lot of uncertainty around Vityaz as a club going forward. Um, I've seen, rumors that they don't have backing and they have until next week to find out if they have backing. I've also seen rumors that they found backing, and right now it's just a whole lot of, who knows. They also just moved Red Wings prospect Dmitry Buchnelikov to CSKA for I think 100 million rubles, which helps, but that's not enough to run a whole hockey club for a year.
No.
So it doesn't surprise me if this does turn out to be true. I think it was something that you kind of could have seen coming, but nothing's done until it's done. And that's actually something I gotta work on is I need to start putting expected or rumored in front of what I say instead of just outright is signing, because then I get myself in trouble. Even though I haven't yet, I probably should start doing that.
But I think it's also worth mentioning because, like, I saw this in your mentions, and I just need to say that the prospects account is going to know about the prospects,
Yeah.
and the way National Hockey League rights work is players are not allowed to negotiate with other NHL teams.
Yeah. That was
So there's some, I don't want to say misinformation, maybe just some opinions that may not have all the information out there. Yaravoy is only able to negotiate with the Hurricanes.
Yep.
Yaravoy could say, hey, respectfully, I don't see a path here. Could you move me? And the Canes could say, we'll gauge the interest, and yes, we'll move you. But it sounds like he wants to play here. So he can't negotiate with another team. So I just need to say, like, if he's going to sign an entry level contract, it is going to only be with Carolina. He can't just up and decide that he's going to sign with, like, Boston, for instance,
Yeah, sure. Going to Boston. Yeah, all right.
where I don't think they've had a Russian player. And
No, they have Nikita Zadorov now.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's certainly a hockey player.
He he's Russian, which is the biggest thing there. Yeah. so that should be that should be cool. That should, should be cool. Especially because the Hurricanes are building such a nice Russian base, basically the amount of guys they have on the NHL roster, and you know, um, you got you still got Gleb in Chicago, Hajayev. I mean, Alexander Rykov's coming to camp. Nothing's done there, but it's a very encouraging sign to me, anyways, that he is coming to camp, and he still has not signed anything with Tractor Chelyabinsk. So you never know. And if Yarovoy does sign, if Miftakov does sign, which is awesome, fun thing that's still happening to this day, nothing has changed to my knowledge. Everything I have read, nothing has changed. But it's hockey. Hockey is an ever evolving world where one minute you can be Ivan Ryabkin and be projected a top 3 pick, and then now where he's looking like, he's having a pitfall. What are you gonna do about it? It's an ever changing world.
Yeah, and I mean with contract negotiations in general, like Carolina's not in a rush here.
No.
Like if they find a goalie that they think is better than Miftakov in free agency, they're gonna sign him.
Yeah.
You know,
No. Yeah.
Miftakov is not proven at a good level. Like
That
he's not proven. He was a bad AHL goalie.
he was a mediocre ECHL goalie, but in the KHL he's been good. But
Right, but like that's not
yeah,
North America. And so like if the Canes find a better third string goalie that's okay with being a third string goalie, they're probably going to sign him because it seems like the rumor was that, and I could be wrong, that Miftakov wanted an NHL or
it
at least the
was he
prospect of
wanted
playing NHL games.
he wants an opportunity to play NHL games. I think the thing I saw was that, and it was still a thing about reporting with Carolina, but it was something about uh there was limit if a contract comes to be, there's going to be a clause in there where if he spends too long in the AHL without getting an NHL game or an NHL look, he could just go back.
Which is silly because then why would the Canes sign him if they're going to have to look for a third string goalie halfway through the year?
Just saying what I have seen on
No, I
the
know, but that's what I'm saying is like, that's why I feel like Carolina hasn't made this deal is because they're like, no, like that's stupid.
yeah, I'm not gonna deny that. Yeah, I mean I think it'd be cool, but it's the one fun thing about a team drafting a ton of players from Russia and continuing to look at Russian free agents is that you're going to have to dig in some places for information that you never thought you would go before. And I'm slowly figuring that out now. And we're still going to get there. My Russian is still incredibly shaky, and it will continue to be incredibly shaky, which kind of sucks with the amount of Russians that seem to project to be at Dev Camp, which is in about a week and a half. So that will be incredibly interesting, but we will find out. All right. The main portion of today, obviously, we're going to talk about some guys that could be drafted. We're going to start with the defense first because that has more names that we'll have to kind of cover here. And I only have one guy that is projected to go in the first round, and it's just because last year they drafted a ton of defensemen, and unless a miracle happens or they have this player higher on their board, then the public knows. I just don't see them drafting defense first, and that's Sasha Boumediene. Played at Boston University, is a very good skater, is a good defender, described as having a good hockey sense. And of course, whenever I was writing my things, I put the wrong description for Boumediene, which was pointed out to me, and I still need to fix that. But because he's not really that much of an offensive defenseman, he has good passing ability. He just hasn't put that together into his game. So he's just a very solid defensive player with a good skating ability, and the biggest thing is that he is 6'2". So
Yeah, he's probably one of the more like attractive defensemen to take in the draft just because it feels like his style really meshes with Carolina's. Like he's a smooth skater. He's a decent enough, like when I say puck mover, in the sense that he can move the puck in transition. Like he's not going to like quarterback a power play. He's not going to be like an insane, offensive force. Like he'll just be a competent distributor.
Yeah.
I don't see him being an offensive threat, if we're being honest with you. Like, I
No, I
see
get it.
him being like a solid number 4.
Yeah. That's about what he's supposed to be. And again, I kind of screwed up with how I was supposed to write it, so that's always great. Next up is a guy that I genuinely loved watching film for because he was just so fun and enjoyable. That is Kurbin Limitov of Dynamo Moscow's MHL team. He is 6'4". He has genuine four-way skating mobility. He involves himself in offense very well. I think the defense could use work, but his ability to move, his height, combine that with his height and his ability to distribute is something that is rare, especially for a guy that's 6'4". So he's somewhere, and he was also used a lot in the playoffs. I have it as he averaged close to 29 minutes a night over his last 10 games, which is ridiculous for a defenseman. But draft rankings kind of have him anywhere. He's been as high as 30, and he's also been as low as 69th. So, he's kind of everywhere, but that's definitely a guy that I thoroughly enjoyed watching anyways.
It's really funny. I'm looking at his EP page right now, and the lowest time on ice he had in a 10-game sample was 24 minutes.
Yeah.
In that game, he had 31 penalty minutes.
My God. That's
So,
ridiculous.
so I think he's a guy that can eat minutes. I mean, again, I think the Canes drafted a lot of players like him last year.
Yeah.
So if they think that he's the best player available at 29, or if they trade down whatever pick they have, like I could definitely see them going this way. It really just kind of depends, because the variance on his ranking, I see a lot in the 40s, a lot in the 30s. Bob McKenzie has him ranked 69th for some reason.
He still has not done his
Oh, has
last
he
ranking.
not? Okay.
I don't believe so. I think there would have been a big, at least I would have posted about it if he did, because
Yeah, I feel like that's true.
so. Oh, I also spelled the next dude's name wrong. That's always nice. It's probably why I should read these before I eventually put them out, and I do. It's just I don't apparently look at them close enough. That is Dakota Ryu Mullen from the University of Michigan. The name of his game is, um, great skater, probably some of the best work ethic in the class. Outside of that, he's decent defensively. His offense currently is nowhere to be seen. But if you like a very strong skater and you like a guy who probably won't be outworked, even though he might be a little bit smaller at almost 6'1", you probably like Ryu Mullen. He's probably a guy that goes in around the third round, so it's not the worst option there. It's just, probably want somebody a little bit bigger or have or a little bit more offensive potential.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a fine mid-round pick. I mean, at that point, you're looking for projectable assets, right? You're
Yeah.
looking for, okay, what traits does this player have that could translate to the NHL? What traits can we build on, and which ones are probably never going to happen, right? So,
Mm.
like with him, okay, good skater, solid hockey sense defensively. You can work with that and try and mold him into an NHL defenseman, right? So I think he has those projectable assets that could make him a pick.
Elite Prospects also, I don't know if you can see it from just their site, but they compared him in their draft guide to Jalen Chatfield. So Thought that was interesting.
And they are some of the highest people on him.
Oh, the elite prospects people, or
Yeah,
yeah,
they have him ranked
nice.
65th. Like
Jeez,
he's their set. Like that's his second highest ranking.
huh?
64 is his first highest ranking.
I gotcha. Next up, I even made the joke, in the piece that I did about defensemen, that last year the Canes took 3 left-handed defensemen with great size and good skating, and in later rounds. So why not just continue the trend? And that is someone I talked about last time in Ilyas Magomed Sultanov, one of the more fun names to try and type out multiple times. He's 6'2" and 174 pounds. The offense is not entirely there, especially at the MHL level. It could be worrying, but I personally don't see it. He's a physical guy, and he plays a very physical style of play, which is interesting because he's only 174 pounds. Um, his defense is pretty decent, but for a guy like Magomed Sultanov, you bet on him growing into his frame. You bet on his skating ability staying good, and you bet on the physical play translating. And maybe he gets offense down the line, and that's kind of why I wrote about him. Also, he was suggested by Dylan Griffin, the Russian scout for elite prospects, that the Canes could look at him. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say this feels like a 6th or 7th round pick to me.
yep,
Just because, like, he's not really ranked super high by anybody. He's ranked 76th for Euros by NHL Central Scouting, which, like, when you're getting into that level, like, there's just not a lot. But you take the fact that he's got decent size and, like you said, the skating. I could see the Canes taking a waiver on him this year. I could also see potentially, if he has a really good year next year, being a re-entry for 2026.
that is true. I do think he will get drafted, though. Um, yeah, I think Corey Pronman had him going third or fourth, which to me seems high, but third or fourth round. But um, I still think he's a guy that does get drafted. So next up, finally getting away from Russian players, Theodore Hallquist, who played for Orbro. I can never pronounce Swedish teams. I don't know why that gets stuck on my brain. He played in the Orbro system. He played 3 levels of Swedish hockey this year at the SHL, where he played in 12 games, which was the most for any draft eligible defenseman in Sweden. I think that's how they phrased it. So 12 games at the SHL level for a guy who didn't turn 18 until a week ago. He looked decent in the J20 National. He has good size, 6'2". He's a righty, which if you care about that sort of thing, you probably like that. The thing that, at least from what I've read, is that he has very good projectable traits. That being his hockey sense, some of the pieces of his offensive game, and some of the pieces of his defensive game. He's a very raw player, which is why he's not ranked as highly, even though he's a guy who has played senior level games as a 17-year-old. But if you want to take a guy that has those projectable traits, and he's there in like the 4th round or the 5th round, you might take a look.
Yeah, I mean, I think if he had a better U18, I think he'd be getting a lot more attention. Um, he did not produce a ton in the U18s, but I mean, he saw 20 minutes a night, maybe a little bit more in most games. Um, it's just one of those things where you look at it and the skating's all he does well right now. There's a handful of other things. So, I kind of look at this as like a Simon Forsmark type player, right? Where, Forsmark had the skating, he had like glimpses of offense, there were glimpses of good defensive play, and I think they play in the same system, don't they?
Oh yeah, I forgot Forsmark played for Orbro,
Yeah,
in his youth.
because now he's with what's the team?
Timra.
Timra. Yeah,
No.
I've told you what Timra So I used to use Google Translate to like translate the pages
Yeah.
of SHL teams, where in Chrome it pops up saying like translate this page.
Yes.
So when you translate Swedish, the team abbreviations don't change; they stay the letters. So TIM translated to bitch.
This podcast is family friendly, Matt.
Sorry, that's just the
No, it
one.
it does that. And my favorite one is, I think it's their term for goal whenever it gets translated, or just the word they have for goal. I think it's funny.
Isn't
I
it
think it's
mall?
oh, it is mall. What's the one where they use slut for it?
And
Thank you. It was one of the words they use a ton, so
yeah,
it's a culture shock to see that, in my
yeah,
opinion.
it's very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyways, the tangent aside, like seems like a Simon Forsmark type player. So projection would be fourth, fifth round, same as Simon Forsmark went.
Yeah, something around there. And if they like the righty, you know, it's probably something that you could do. Next up is somebody a little bit more interesting in my opinion. That is Liam Pettersson, yet another Swedish player. If we notice, not a singular CHL player so far, because since I don't see the Canes drafting defensemen high unless something changes, and that's where a lot of CHL defensemen currently project. I just think there's a lot more value in the Euros in the later rounds because of some things. So Liam Pettersson sucks at defense, almost a negative asset. Now, maybe I should be a little bit nicer, but I use Lassie
What
Allinen's.
a great way to start off. Like
It
you don't
was.
go into the positives at all. You're just like, here's
I'm
why
just
he's
I'm
absolute
just saying,
trash.
no. So I use Lassie Allinen's tracking data because I think it's very helpful when trying to get a quick view at a player before like getting into actual film.
Sure.
His defensive number is a 3.
So third percentile?
Yep.
Good.
No,
That's
no.
great.
You can get that the wrong way around.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a deeper red before. It's
yeah, I don't know. I mean,
so now here's the thing. Everything else offensively about his game, let me tell you what. He's in the 95th percentile transition wise and 80th percentile offensively. Um he's a great skater. He's good in transition. He seems to have some good offensive traits. If you could just hammer out the defense, man, you might have a player.
uh, maybe. With him being that good in transition, I think that's at least warranting a look.
Yeah.
And with players like that, though, we've seen with guys like Scott Morrow, um, hell, Jake
Josh
Bean.
Bean.
Sorry, Josh Bean was the meme for a while. Sorry,
Oh, okay.
because Elite Prospects page said AKA Josh Bean, and nobody could tell where that came from. Anyways, Jake Bean, like we've seen it with those guys where like they have the horrible defense and you can fix some things, but they're never going to be great defensively or even really good defensively. So, you know, that has to go in. It depends on if the Canes can project him as
Yeah, I get it.
being good enough in transition and offensively to warrant pick.
Yeah. So the last guy we'll go into genuine detail on defensively is someone that is probably going to get drafted higher than I expect, anyways, just because of the year that he had. Um, the one thing that takes away from him is that he is an overager, but I think his year at UMass definitely kind of solved some of those issues, and that player being Francesco Del Elche, who played at UMass this year after getting passed in last year's draft. He went to UMass and became, I want to say, their best defenseman or their second best defenseman on the roster. Uh, he's a very solid offensive player. He has some decent defense. Um, he's a good skater. He's a guy that's going to go a lot higher because of the way that he handled himself as a freshman against good competition in the Hockey East. He's somebody that is going to get drafted comparatively to last year when he got skipped over, and it kind of just depends on where he is. But if you like the offensive upside that he showed going over half a point per game as a defenseman, he warrants a look.
Yeah, he's a double overager.
Oh, I thought he was just one. Dang.
No, he hasn't quite turned 20 yet. He's an 05.
Hmm. Oh.
So could a team just go out and like sign him next year? I mean, that's kind of what you think of, right? You know, I mean, like he's 20 years old or almost. And I mean, he's great offensively. I mean, like the mobility. I love Del Elche with St. Andrews College. This is a player that I scouted. I did not have a chance at getting him, but I'm not bitter. He had actually already signed with the V's before I had even gotten like a chance to look at him.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like they signed him in like October, I think. It was like ridiculously early.
Mm-hmm.
The year before. But it's just like, he's got a decent shot. Like he uses it to create rebounds. He's smart, mobile, relatively big. I mean, like he's 6'1". He's not very physical. This is a player that I think has some NHL upside. I do. Because there's something there for a guy that can be on your second power play unit. I really like him. I have no idea if he gets drafted, just because teams could be like, well, we'll just run the chance of signing him next year. Or some team could be like, you know what, we want to have him. We envision him as a 4-year college player, and then they draft him so that they can have his rights for those 43 years left.
Just gotta be.
Regardless of the matter, is like he's really good, and I think like he's only going to get better. The BCHL to NCAA is a difficult jump, as we saw for a guy like Bradley Nadeau, but like it's clearly doable, and I think Del Elche is really solid.
Yeah, but Nadeau might be a slight outlier just because he did really, really well his freshman year, but I do get it. We're not going to talk about these guys in depth. I just wanted to mention them because these are, again, just late round options that the Canes could look at. I have Carl Anborn, who played at HV71, Roman Bausoff, who played again in the Dynamo Moscow MHL system, Felix Farhammer, who also Farhamar, I believe. He played for Orebro, and I keep doing that, at the SHL J20 and J18. Mikhail Gamzikov, who played in the Avto, I can't even try and pronounce the city, in the MHL. And then Bogdan Pestretsov, who played for the CSKA MHL side. And then lastly, Artyom Gonchar, who played for the Metallurg MHL side. Artyom is related to Sergey. So I thought that was interesting. And he's not actually the worst player, but there are a lot of drawbacks in his game. Let's move to goalies. Goalies shouldn't take that long. And the reason is because with goalies, development, you can't really, it's not linear. It's very hard to not develop, but it's very hard to predict where a goalie is going to be. So for these guys, as this is going up Saturday, but as of right now, because we're recording this Wednesday, not the Wednesday that the goalie part comes out, but the Saturday before, I just have their stats, their regular season stats, their playoff stats, their height, and where they played. So we're just going to run through the names real quick, get it all out of the way. First one is Pyotr Andreyanov, CSKA MHL side. 37 games in the regular season with a 1.75 goals against and a .942 save percentage. 6 games in the playoffs, he had a 2.36 goals against, a .929 save percentage, and he is 6'2". Anything to add, Matt?
He's been consistently good. You know, he's a big boy, 207.
Ooh.
Yeah. So not sure if that's just muscle or if he's just a little on the bigger side. Like you know, let me look at
I
Kochetkov real quick. Like Pyotr Kochetkov is 6'2", 179.
oh
So like 207 is a little big for a goalie.
yeah.
So that's just, I mean, there's no analysis there, but it definitely makes you think like he's going to have to do some serious conditioning to get to the NHL level because most NHL goalies are pretty lean.
Yes, and but the big thing is his traits seem good. His counting stats look good. He's 6'2".
Yeah.
It's about all you can do. Next up, another Russian goalie. Save your shock. Semyon Frolov, who played for the Lada MHO side and at least one Spartak side alongside another one, but he played majority MHL games this year. 28 games in the regular season, a 2.21 goals against and a 921 save percentage. Playoffs, he had 7 games played, a 3.1 goals against and a 908. He is 6'3".
Yeah, and again, another big goalie is 203, which
What
he
are
is
they
an
feeding
inch.
those kids in Russia,
He
man?
is an inch taller, so
Still,
I
what are
just
they
think,
feeding them?
yeah, it's that fattening Russian cuisine.
I don't think there's
But
anything in that
again,
diet.
like with the Russian goalies, like we've seen a trend in recent years where like Russian goalies just seem to be better, and Euro goalies just seem to be better than CHL goalies. So
Hmm.
it's like Joshua Ravensbergen's getting a lot of love. He ain't
Yeah,
Russian.
no, he's a CHL guy. Same thing with um, Ivan
Yeah,
Kovic, who got a lot of
yeah.
love, but then he's just gonna soar down draft boards because he's not 6 foot.
Ravensbergen's getting a lot of draft love because he's 6'5".
Yep, that'll do it. The next guy is the only guy that is, I believe, just 6 foot tall, but he has experience in international comp that a lot of people seen that has given people a lot of hope in his game. He's also an overager. He was a 2006, so he's a single overager. Petteri Rimpinen, the Finnish goalie from the last World Juniors, just spent his year with. Okay, I'm gonna try and do this. If I say it wrong, please do not. I believe it's Kiko Espoo. Yeah,
Sure.
something like that. In the Finnish Liga. Regular season, he played 40 games and had a 2.35 goals against average and a 912 save percentage. In the playoffs, he played 5 games, had a 2.71 goals against and a 920 save percentage. He is 6 feet tall and he is 19 as he is a 2006.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually got a decent amount to say about Rimpinen because I watched the World Juniors and like just from what I know about hockey, like Rimpinen plays the position really well. Like he's not the biggest goalie, but he'll sell out to make the saves. He's a really smart, cerebral goalie. Tracks pucks really well. Like there's a lot to like there. I mean, obviously winning the silver at the World Juniors is a really big deal. The fact also that he started 40 games this past year
In his senior league as well.
in the top league, and last year, I mean, as a draft eligible goalie for the first time around, played in 25 pro games in the second tier between the playoffs and regular season. Like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, I will say the Finnish league is not as strong, and out of the European leagues, it's definitely weaker than the SHL. But the fact that he's playing against men and he's seeing shots against players that had played NHL games or pro games at some point, like that's a big deal. Um, so this is a player that I could see him going at least relatively high because a lot of teams got to see him at the World Juniors, and
Yeah.
you know, for teams like whose front offices, see players like that may just influence them enough, right?
Yeah, 100%. I think the World Juniors performance just put him back in a position to get drafted. I mean, at least decently highly this year after. And then he went back to Finland and put together a really solid season. So I think that also helps along. The
Yeah,
last goalie I will at least mention by stats instead of just by name is one of the craziest names I've ever seen in my life, to be completely honest with you, and is Ivan Tachenko of Tolpar Ufa in the MHL. The big thing with Mr. Tachenko, he's 6'3" and he is ranked very, very low. He's 11th for Central Scouting EU goalies. And if there's one thing the Canes love to do by their recent goalie history, it's take big guys who, you know, take big guys that have late value and, maybe they develop. Hello, Ruslan Hajayev, who posted really good stats in the MHL and is now in the AHL. So, Tachenko, 40 games played, a 2.99 goals against and a 908 save percentage, 2 games in the playoffs, and he was ugly with a 3.54 goals against and a 883 save percentage. Again, he's 6'3" and he's ranked really late. If they want to take a shot at a guy in the 7th, why not? That's an interesting noise there.
sorry, I was looking at the goalies they have ranked, and
Their names, let me tell you what.
it's something.
So I only have 3 other goalies that I just put down to keep in mind. And again, some of these names are great. We have Mans Goose of
Oh hell yeah!
of Fargestad's J20 team. We have Love Herenstam of Skellefte's J20 team, and I believe it's Michal Orshalak of HC Energy Karlovy Vary U20. And that is 7 goalies. 7 guys.
Props to you for finding those.
Let me tell you, digging through elite prospects is an experience to try and find these gentlemen. Let me tell you what. But that is every player that I have written down for all of for defensemen, for forwards, for everybody. We have officially covered everything, and I cannot wait to go for however many they draft, and it's going to be guys that I just didn't talk about at all. I'm ready. I'm
Yeah,
prepared.
it's gonna be a lot of like, oh yeah, well, we tried.
I did what I could.
So are you gonna bring up
Yes.
the thing?
So hopefully this. Oh, it did work. Nice.
Ooh,
All right.
we
So
are fancy.
this is FC Hockey's mock draft simulator. So we thought for fun today, we've only been recording for 38 minutes, is we're gonna go 7 rounds the Carolina Hurricanes draft. It sounded crazy, but we're gonna just do a 7-round mock draft only for the Hurricanes. This is FC Hockey, but this is not their rankings. This is the consensus rankings because FC Hockey has Colin Potter going 9th most of the time. So draft speed to fast, and we will let it go.
Michael Misa going first. That's a shock.
Oh, did he? Oh, he did. Oh, geez.
James Hagen's going third too. That's wild.
Yeah. See, Kashan Aitchison going 26th.
He's picking at 30th now. I wonder why.
They were always picking at 30th. Oh, wait, no, they weren't.
29th.
I don't know.
Oh. All right.
Bill Zonin 18th, Ivan Ryabkin 17th, Colin Potter 16th.
All right, so let's go to the list real quick because I can't. All right.
So we got Sasha Boumediene, Will Moore, Jack Murtaugh, Milton Gastrin. I'm not drafting a goalie at 30th.
By the way, last time I had somebody reach out to me. I did a thing where I combined Will Smith and Oliver Moore into one person. Will Moore that I thought existed. So
and he does exist. Who would have thought?
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of good names here. There's
I mean,
Blumenthal, which we talked about.
is Wozniak, who we talked about last week.
Yeah,
Um,
Milton Gastrin still
Kerbin
available.
Limitov is there. I know somebody mentioned Carter Amico, and it is Amico because
Hmm.
I heard somebody talk about that recently. It's Amico, not Amico. Alexander Zarovsky, Andre Nestrashil's younger brother.
Throwback Thursday.
Crazy statement. Ooh,
I'm thinking here like I don't know a ton about Nilsson or Murtaugh,
wait, who? Oh, Nilsson. Nilsson. Okay, I heard something else. My apologies.
but is Wozniak is really good.
He's definitely somebody that I've. Oh, that just completely stops the screen. Okay. Yeah, is Wozniak lanky player, but he's a great shooter. Offensive instincts are there. A lot to like there. I know Milton Gastrin might not have, a dynamic offensive ability, but he's a good two-way player, as well as he's been the leader for a lot of Sweden's that '07 group as well.
To me, he just seems like a boring pick. Let me look up Jack Murtaugh real quick because I
God,
don't
I
actually
hate
know.
boring picks. There's also Alexander Zarovsky a little bit farther down, who,
And he would be super off the board. I mean, and this is a situation where I could see the Canes draft like trading back, right?
yeah, if
Because
only I
like
had,
there's a number of names here like that we're
yeah,
liking that
yeah. The issue is I can't physically do it,
no
and
for sure. But I'm saying like if this were to happen, because like Jack Murtaugh's stats aren't great. Like he was less than a point per game in TDP. I know that people are going to want him to draft a center, us to draft a center,
it's just hard.
but like I could see the team going for you
They could
know
go
I
boring.
can see them saying like trade back to like even like Chicago's pick like they did last year again and just like
Yeah,
bank on getting one of is Wozniak, Riker Lee, or
yeah. Riker Lee was another name I was going to mention because
yeah.
um, I had somebody mention him a little bit ago. Said that he would be a really nice pick. He's not a center either, so I don't like them doing that. He is a pure winger. Also,
Yeah,
Adam Benak at 40 is a little high, but
yeah, it is. So I think I don't know. I don't know. I'll let you make the decision here. I'm gonna
I
actually
really do think, like you said, this is the perfect trade down spot because you have multiple guys here, at least to me. Just for the sake of it, I'm not going to go my favorite player, which is probably Zarovsky. I'm going to appease to the masses and take a boring pick and just take
no, no,
Milton
no, no, no.
Gastrin.
I think we should pick who we think the Canes would pick. I don't want to appease the masses.
Oh,
The
okay.
masses are wrong.
Then okay, Jesus. At that point, I'm probably going either is Wozniak or Zarovsky.
Is Wozniak would be my pick here. I think
Let's go. Jacob is Wozniak from Lulea. And now
you
we
can't
get to,
you can't teach goal scoring and like as much as people want a center, I don't care. Like
yeah, though that's,
Gastrin to me projects like a third line center. That's just not somebody
ooh,
I'm taking in the
where
first
did,
round.
so Jack Ivankovic went to the Canucks here, and Hao Chi Wang went to Utah, which definitely seems like a Utah pick.
Mm.
Oh, what? Okay,
Yeah,
this
it does this. So we're gonna need to like
this said it was the whatchamacallit. I couldn't tell you. Uh, I well, I think that's the thing because FC Hockey's is still. I don't know if it's working or not.
yeah.
Um,
So we're just gonna kind of have to play with it. I think.
um,
So third round, the Hurricanes have
there's a lot of options here. I wonder if I can just. I mean, kind of. This. Oh, it's. Is it just by
like I can
kind
pull up
of?
the consolidated rankings real quick.
Yeah, I'm just gonna try and go through, and it's already failing me because I
It's
kind of
taking
stink.
players that are projected roughly around that area. By the way,
Philip Villot is really that highly ranked.
No, but like I'm saying, the players in the draft that are getting actually picked.
Yeah, Tobias Heinonen
Yeah,
in the third makes sense. Semyon Frolov in the third. So it is making sense. I think
yeah,
just at this point,
like Dakota
I
Rumulin.
oh yeah, Maxim Agafonov, who I didn't talk about today, but I also kind of like.
Yeah,
Um, the other Huang in this draft class, even though it's Huang, dude, the Alex, the one that plays for Chicoutimi and the one that is going to BU confuse me. I get their names mixed up all the time.
Simon Wang.
Yeah, Simon, and the one that just went here that I can't remember his name, Alex Wang. They get me
Mm.
or Huang. I suck at those names. All right.
Yeah, and like the guy that just that's Philippe Vieux. Is that the
Yeah,
first player? He's
yeah.
ranked 97th consensus.
Okay, so it is pretty close.
Yeah,
I think the next few rounds, it's just going to draft.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We might have to switch, make it audible, and go right back to the FC hockey one because I think they ranked up to 250.
Okay.
But in any case, um,
I mean, here before we get too far into it, do you want to just scrap this little segment and then do that?
we can.
Because
I can just
yeah, that might be
open.
easier if we
Let
just leave it
me.
at 250. Because then it'll actually
Yeah.
populate.
All right. Let me quickly go fix that. Then this actually makes it very easy. I like It's good because I haven't looked at all at. Even though I said that we are going to be live for days 1 and 2 of the draft, just in case. Anybody doesn't know, Matt and I are live day 1 and day 2 of the draft. So it's actually good that this is very easy. The software is very easy to navigate. All right, let's see. Let me share the screen again. This tab. All right, let's see. Okay, so immediately.
Schaefer goes first,
Okay. Oh,
could
and color.
happen,
Okay, Cullen Potter went 12th.
which is hilarious, but we'll let it
It's not.
happen.
It's not bad. Let's keep going. Malcolm is Wozniak goes a little bit higher. Kerbin Limitov goes. Bill Zonin goes one before.
One pick
And now
away.
we are back. So we don't have Wozniak on the board this time. Actually, this does seem a little bit better because Kashawn Aitchison going top 10 makes sense. Roger McQueen to Buffalo makes a lot of sense, at least to me. And that top, except for Hagen's third, this makes a little bit more
Yeah.
sense to me, anyways. All right, so
Oof.
here at 30, Jack Murtaugh, Logan Hensler, William Horkoff, who tested really well at the combine. Ravensburger, but we're not going goalie. I mean, Gastrin, Cam Schmidt, Nestor Schill's brother, Riker Lee, Benek Zarovsky. All right. So, at least to me, you get right back to that conversation of Gastrin and Zarovsky.
Yeah, and I mean, I'd toss Riker Lee in here too.
Yeah, I'd put him up there.
Um, like, let me just
He's not bad. I know
let me
people
just
really
pull up
like
this page
Shane.
again.
I know people really like Shane Van Sagi. I believe it's. I don't know how to pronounce that, but from Michigan State, I know people really like him. There's Ryabkin at 49, so at least that's lower. Um, William Moore at 55. Ooh, Mason West at 56. I think Mason West might even sneak in higher than expected, just because people are going to see 6'6", good winger, and they're going to be like, oh my god. But also, you do have to worry about him playing football, even though I think that's overblown.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I'm seeing like I'm looking at Riker Lee, and I'm like probably not a center moving forward.
No, he's not.
I think Jarofsky's probably the best bet here.
Yeah.
Just like again, Gastrin, I don't like the prospects of taking like a boring center.
Yeah, I get it. I also think this could be another trade down spot unless they don't like anybody.
100%.
Yeah.
Especially if the board with this many players on the board, like I could see the Kings moving back
So
here.
let's take Zorovsky and let's see what else happens here. Okay, so Riker Lee went 41 in here.
Yastrin 42.
Oh, Benak Vriabkin back to end of Ivan Kovic. Wow.
This is a fascinating draft.
Francesco Del Elche
They've
to
killed Nick.
they're about to. I just saw Pyotr Andreyanov and Manzgouz go. That stinks. Dakota Reed Mullen goes right before. And we have players to look at here. All right. Okay. To me, Magomed Sultanov is there, but taking him in the third seems high.
Mm-hmm. There's a
Theodore
goalie,
Hallquist.
Mikhail Predel.
Was he the one that played overseas and just transferred, or is he just playing in Tri-City now? I know people I've heard.
No, he moved to Tri-City during the season.
Okay.
He had a really solid U18. Including he shut out Finland in game 1. And also Latvia, which Latvia is whatever.
I'm seeing Hao Shi Wang on the board, Matt.
And he can stay there. He can stay there.
Victor
I'm actually not a big fan of Predel. He's huge.
Yeah,
like 6'5", but
that's why I didn't talk about him personally.
Yeah.
LJ Mooney, people would die because he's 5'6", and that's probably a little too small.
That's never the Canes wouldn't pick that.
All right. I know people like Christian Epperson.
Elite something like Dom Fensori, but I don't see it.
You'll never guess. This is another great trade back spot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we're forced to pick something. I think if I was leaning anything here, Theodore Hallquist isn't the worst option, or a little bit further down the board, Victor Klingsell.
I think you got to consider Rombach here because he's huge.
Yeah. 6'6". To be fair, the top 3 defensemen on the board, Barnhill, Rombach, and I cannot pronounce that name, but the Czech dude is 6'4", but 6'6", and sure, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not seeing a ton here. I agree that Magomed Sultanov is a little high.
Yeah.
Scroll down a little bit if you don't mind. I can't.
Yeah.
I do want to see who else is available.
Isn't Emil Gute going to college? I think he's going to UConn. If he's 6 foot, no, he's not. No, what I was thinking of.
I'm looking up a player.
Okay. I'm just gonna keep looking around here.
I mean, they could do it, but he didn't have a great
Love Harenstam is here, but he's probably going to be available here. Tobias Heinonen is here as well, but third team. Theostok Celius. That seems interesting value, at least to me, if I'm thinking of the right player.
Really? They ranked him that high?
They rank him this low. He's 130th.
Sorry, I'm talking about a different player.
Oh, my bad. I'm just looking it up on my phone because I don't want to mess with the board.
Really?
Theostok Celius.
Why did they rank him that low?
Theostok Celius is interesting. I mean, he's 17 for another month. He's a 6'3" winger. Had a really good year at J20
again.
Okay.
They would never do it, so I'm not going to.
Who are you gonna suggest?
Ethan Wittenbach.
Ethan Wittenbach. Where was he ranked?
It's like 125-ish.
Oh, okay. I don't hate the idea of Stockselius here. I think he could be a.
Let me Google him.
He had 51 points in 40 J20 games. At least from elite prospects, very few can match Stockselius' combination of playmaking ability, skill, and size. Crafty playmaker, a lot of fun stuff. He's ranked as high as 31.
Yeah, he's going to go a lot higher than this, but for the case of this mock, sure.
Yeah, I mean, this is already all over the place. I really do like Stockselius as a player, though, so I don't hate that pick.
I don't believe we pick until like 120 something, or yeah.
Let's see. 126.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't pick.
Rombach almost lasted until 126.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Whitlock to Minnesota.
Who interesting. There's Wittenbach to Minnesota. Klingsell, another guy I did like a little bit. Roberto Enriquez. Wow. Okay. You know, that's nice. Michael Prattle barely went.
Is this where the Hurricanes take a goalie?
Let's see who's available. Love Herenstam, Petteri Rimpinen, Semyon Frolov. Okay, this is probably where the Canes take a goalie. So you kind of get your pick here. I think the option would be between Rimpinen and Frolov, personally. And at that point, you go, would you rather have the guy who's proven himself against senior competition but is smaller at 6 foot, or do you take the guy who's looked really good in the MHL who has size? It's kind of a, in my opinion, that seems like a toss-up there.
I mean, we're not talking about him, but the guy that's ranked up higher than that, Bert Hood, had a decent year with Vancouver.
I really wish it gave me the league.
Vancouver, WHL.
Well, it doesn't. I'm saying it doesn't have it on the.
Okay. I think this is a fine spot for Frolov.
That's what I was feeling there. All right. They should. I believe they have a fifth.
They have. I don't think they do.
It doesn't look like it. Oh, yeah, because I think the fifth was for. No,
Jankowski.
that was the fifth Jankowski? I thought it was a fourth.
Nope. Fifth.
Shows how much I pay
Fourth
attention.
Was in the,
oh my goodness, Rimpinen is still on the board. Oh my god. Ah.
Okay. Here's where I would go back to all positions.
This is all positions.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. I see Farhamar. I see Will Sharp. Lev Katzin. Who else?
Lev Katzin's interesting.
Yeah, Lev, he's not bad from what I remember, but he's small.
But at this point, that's okay.
Yeah. Who else? I mean, I shouldn't be scrolling this far down, seeing as we would pick again in 6 picks.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Bruno Osmanis. Where that name feels familiar.
I think this is where we haven't taken a defenseman yet, have we?
I don't believe so. No. Okay,
can you see my picks?
Yeah.
Go hit my picks.
Yeah. We took Zarovsky and then Stokselius
Frolov. Okay. I mean, all
right, so if we're looking at defensemen here, this is the top of the board.
Nobody. Ooh,
Strong stuff there. Magomed Sharkanov, not here.
That's an A+ name, by the way.
He is a overager, but he's been very good for. But I think he's a double or triple overager.
Go back to all players.
All right, I'm gonna look that up. Actually,
there's players available in it.
Magomed Sharkanov. Oh my god,
Katzen has the highest upside.
Makes sense. So Sharkanov, I looked it up. He is actually a 04. He is a October 04. All right, back on the board immediately.
There's a player here that's interesting.
Who are you gonna say?
There's a player here that passes the eye test.
Okay.
But accomplishes nothing.
Strong stuff. I like to hear that. I've heard people say good things about Karamov. Roman Letsev is somebody I love in like the 6th, 7th round because he is a true center.
Well, that's where we're at.
Yeah, but I think do I think he'll be there later? I mean, he's like 40 picks down. I think he'll be there.
He's a Russian.
Hey man, who did you wanna?
I don't want to pick him.
Oh, okay. But who were you looking at?
Ah,
You're not even going to say his name. This is ridiculous.
I can't. Let me make sure I can't say his name.
Oh my god. Um. Yeah, I
I
think.
absolutely cannot talk
Nope.
about him.
Okay. It's always good as long as you don't have to cut anything. I'm probably okay here. So, we taken a defenseman?
Yes.
Mm,
Look at 6. No, we
no,
took
we
Katzen.
could
The,
text.
the thing about this draft is it's so bad for defensemen.
Yeah, I don't think they would take a dude that turns 21 next year. I don't know enough about the Slovakian league to give an informed opinion of this guy. I I just don't know. I also don't think they would look at the NAHL. The guy has good size, but have the Canes ever drafted a dude from the NAHL?
Yeah, LaFontaine.
That's been a while.
Oh,
Um,
there's a reason for that.
um,
Nathan Free isn't bad.
I don't know enough about him.
Um, he had a really good year with Penn. Or he was with Brooks.
Artyom Gonchar.
And then weirdly, he's going to Portland next year and then Penn State.
That is a very interesting timeline.
Which I don't hate it. He's going to like 3 premier programs.
Yeah.
But um
I don't know.
my God.
This is
I think let me look up who this guy at the top is. Bruno
Osmanis.
Osmanis.
That's who I just looked up because I was interested because I could have sworn I've heard that
He's
name
from
before.
Ogre, Latvia. Draft this kid.
I mean, Daily Faceoff has him at 76.
Well, so he's not bad. He
Oh,
played in
he's an overager.
he had a good World Junior. No, he's a late birthday.
He's 06. He's December 06. Is that this year?
Yeah, it's September 16th to September 15th. 07.
Yeah, I should definitely like research that more. But yeah,
So
he did have a good J20 year.
I think this is a fine pick for the Canes.
Okay.
He's not the biggest kid ever, but he had a really solid World Juniors for Latvia. Played in the second tier league as well this year.
Yeah, I think if he's there, I
All
want
right, the
Roman
player
Lutz
that I wanted that I thought about the Canes picking is no longer available. Thank God.
Okay, I think here, at least to me, my pick is Roman Lutsev.
Yeah, or
Good enough. This feels. I think Lutsev makes. I mean, it kind of depends. Would you rather have a guy who's played center, as a junior player, or would you rather draft a second goalie with how weak the Canes
I think the
are?
second goalie would make a lot of sense. Although I
Okay.
do not hate the idea of Letsev, chances are the Canes are getting another draft pick at some point.
Yeah. So if we're gonna do second goalie, it's
Tkachenko.
Tachenko, I believe. There's like, dude, what in the world?
It's not great,
Lucas Beckman isn't horrendous.
but it's the Q.
All right. Yeah,
So I'm thinking Tkachenko.
Just imagine you're saying Matthew Tkachuk, and it's Tachenko.
Tkachenko.
Oh, you pronounce the K. Oh, I see. Well, I'll take it anyways. All right. So, please just let me do my picks. All right. Alexander Zurovsky, Theo Stokselius, Semyon Frolov, Lev Katzin, Bruno Osmanis, and Ivan Tachenko is what we came up with. I definitely don't think that is what they would do in real life, but more importantly is we don't have the ability to make trades.
Damn it.
So, I'm sorry.
Go
I
back.
didn't realize you were. I already closed the tab. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I took a screenshot of it though. If you need the screenshot, I
Could
wonder
you
if I
send
can.
it to me if you don't mind?
Of course, it doesn't let me put it in there. Oh wait, hold on. We're gonna figure this out. Give me a second. Maybe
I'm
not.
very curious to. I want to have this for posterity just to see how wrong we were.
um, is it not just gonna let me put up a picture? Is that not a thing I can do? Wait, media. Hold on. Oh, is it just audio? Oh, I can't even. Yeah, it's just audio. Okay,
Just DM me a screenshot.
Yeah, I should probably do that. Okay, let me go over here and send. There we go. That is our mock. It's interesting. I think obviously it's not going to happen, but Stokselius in the third round is ridiculous. I think Zurovsky at 30 makes sense. You took two Russian goalies. You took high upside in Katzin and Osmanis, even though I don't know if we classify him as high upside, but the nationalities are certainly interesting. 3 Russians, 1 Swedish, 1 Latvian, 1 Canadian. Yeah, I don't think it was bad. I thought it was okay. I definitely thought it could have been better, but obviously
And
we
this is
don't have the
exactly
ability
how
to.
the draft is going to fall, by the way. No changes whatsoever.
I hope not. But it's not the worst thing ever, but we did not have the ability to make trades, which is, I think, something that's very obviously going to happen. But yeah, that is going to be the episode because we did what we needed to do. Anything else you would like to say before we head off here, Matthew?
No, I'm excited for the draft, excited for live coverage, and we'll see you there.
Yes, we'll be live day 1, day 2, and then right after that, rolling right into dev camp where I will be for the 3 to 4 days that it takes place, and I will see about trying to find players to talk to if I can speak their same language or have a translator at the ready. We will find out then. Other than that, stay safe, and we will see you all next Friday.